I really want to thank all of you for joining in today. Today, our session is something which is possibly one of the most favorite session of in the current year. The topic of session is building a successful YouTube channel for an individual and a brand. And to lead this session, we have with us Aditi Rajvanshi. She is a YouTube partner manager at YouTube. Probably one of the few people who must be dealing with a lot of YouTube publishers. And in today's session, we'll actually be talking about how to build a successful YouTube channel, how to manage and optimize your videos on YouTube, how to leverage video marketing, key aspects of marketers to leverage YouTube, and how to keep your audience engaged on YouTube. I'm sure if you have ever done anything on YouTube, this would be your primary concern. So that's exactly what today's session is all about. Welcome, Aditi. Thanks a lot for taking time out. You can share your screen now and start this.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to talking to people. This is my first experience with a webinar, so in case I'm not as comfortable as I expected myself to be, please forgive me. I'm going to try again. And on that note, let's get started. So, okay, can everybody see my screen? In case you have a problem, just let me know here.
Yeah, we can't see the screen so far.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to quickly switch to present. All right, wonderful. Okay, so I know a lot of us use YouTube on a daily basis to watch content, to perhaps even catch up on a TV show that we missed last night, or to watch the repeats of so many awesome goals in the FIFA World Cup. And that is one extremely strong use case for YouTube. We are today the world's largest video site, and that does mean a lot to people who are connected to the YouTube community, be it as a user or as a creator or as a brand. It means a lot to all these different entities. Today we get about 1 billion monthly unique users to YouTube globally. Now that actually puts us alongside any other really, really large popular website. And in fact, if I start eliminating onto that list, we'd perhaps have less than 10 such destinations, such platforms globally, where you can potentially find a really, really large eclectic mix of people from users like you and me are, and creators that I hope a lot of you in the future are, and brands that some of us are. The way YouTube becomes somewhat of an equalizer or a level playing field is because think about YouTube in comparison to most traditional media content platforms, and you'd realize that one of the key challenges to interact with any of the traditional media content platforms is that there are umpteen number of middlemen. So between the content creator and the viewer or the user or the reader, there are so many middlemen that often content loses its essence, or it takes a really, really long time for this chain to exist. And that's where platforms like YouTube or Vine come into play, because they completely take away the middlemen. They completely eliminate the gaps between the end user or the end consumer and the creator. And that's where I think a lot of brands globally are finding resonance today. A lot of brands globally have started thinking, wow, when I go to television, I rarely ever know if somebody actually watched my ad. I rarely ever know if, what was people's feedback to what I just created. Be it a content brand, be it a brand that's dealing with a product or a service. This changes from, group to group as far as an advertiser is concerned or an organization is concerned. But it's a primary concern with brands. And I think that's why we're seeing a huge a huge shift in the mindset where brands globally are adopting online means and online methods of advertising, which were typically not part of their traditional package. um, in a really, really large way. I'm sure if all of us go back to thinking of the last 1 year and what was some really, really amazing, advertising campaigns or really, really amazing brand campaigns that we remember seeing, a lot of them would have been online, and a lot of them would have got to do with going beyond the product, going beyond being just an advertisement, going beyond to become content that people like to watch, share, relate with, all of those different elements that add a human touch to what a brand is trying to build, and to also create something that we believe is a very, very strong community of people. Um, the biggest strength of YouTube as a platform today lies in the fact that it's no longer uh, about some random videos that were created. So it's not just about the cat and dog videos or the ski boards or the Charlie bit my fingers, but it's going towards creating really, really high quality, extremely premium, extremely engaging, extremely relatable content for people across age groups. And that's why the value proposition of the platform for a creator as well as a user, and most importantly for a brand, has increased tremendously. Now, of course, it's very, very easy to think about a plain Jane, a vanilla solution to any brand's challenges on YouTube. Let's go out and advertise on YouTube, right? Let's go out, target the right demographics. Let's go out and find the right, say, content categories that make sense for us, and let's place our ads on it. But the brands that are really seeing returns in building a creed of their own and building a community of their own on YouTube, or for that matter, the internet, are brands that are going beyond this to engaging with audiences at a more primitive level, which is exactly what the platform was built for. And that's where we're going to talk about some fundamentals of creative strategy that brands can use, be it an individual, be it an organization. Like I said, these are certain fundamentals that could be used by anyone who's looking at YouTube today beyond a plain Jane advertising solution. If you're looking at integrating content into your brand message, if you're willing to actually look at content as the pivot, as the main lever of whatever you do on your brand today online, then these strategies will come in extremely, extremely handy. Okay, with this, let me quickly go into the presentation. That's my name, and we can forget about that. All right. So these are 10 fundamentals. Now, why would we come up with 10 fundamentals? We came up with this because we work with creators globally of literally all shapes and sizes. Now, when YouTube started becoming really popular as a creator platform, we started seeing these amazing trends where creators of different kinds, and let me take a case in point. I'm not sure if any of you have heard about a channel called Bethany Mota. Bethany um, is all of 18 today and has been on YouTube since she was all of 13. What she creates are um, really, really nice feel good factor videos on everything from beauty and fashion and makeup and room design to DIY to crafts to bullying in class and how to deal with that. And that's the range of content that she's creating on her channel. Now, what's really interesting is that that's the kind of content that brands love. What we never thought would happen in the first place was that brands today are falling all over themselves to try and work with creators like Bethany, because she's found an engaged audience of over 6 million people on YouTube who actually come in weekly to consume content. Now, how many times do you know of that level of thorough fandom that exists? A lot of times you think of this as, oh, it's just an internet phenomena, oh, you wouldn't actually experience it offline. But these online creators are finding extremely, extremely vital, extremely engaging fan bases outside of the platform. And that is the platform's key success from where I see it. It is when we started talking to all these different creators that we started thinking of what to do, how do we make this into a model that we take best practices out of the top creators and start sharing it with brands, with newbies, with people who are just starting out on YouTube, and that's how the 10 fundamentals happened. Let's get started. Okay, can you still see my screen?
No.
Perfect.
I mean, we can see your screen. 10 fundamentals. That's the slide.
Do you not see the next slide yet?
Not yet.
Okay, in any case, let me start talking about it, and I think there's a bit of a lag. The slide that I'm looking at is called shareability, which is the first and the foremost fundamental that I want to talk about. Now,
Yes,
every
it's
time we
shifted.
think about YouTube, perfect, thank you. Every time we think of YouTube, every time we think of online, one of the key factors that makes it different from anything that you do across other mediums is the shareability. Imagine reading an article in a Reader's Digest, or imagine watching something on TV which is playing at the moment. How easy is it for you to share it with somebody? How easy is it for you to actually tell someone, oh my God, this really awesome thing is happening? And that's the key strength of online, because information transmits within the click of a few buttons and within a matter of a few minutes. Now, if I'm reading something which I really like, I'd perhaps be able to take it to my family, maybe a few friends, but that's about it. But the minute I start thinking online, and if that was available on a shareable link, I could share it with hundreds of people on all my different social networks. I could share it through Gmail, etc., etc. Right? The possibilities increase. Now, that's where one of the key strengths of YouTube content lies. Think about our own user behaviors. Haven't we all, at some or the other point in time, shared a YouTube video because we thought, wow, we may have just shown it to the person who sat next to us at work, or we could have shared it with our social networks, or we could have just shared it with a WhatsApp group. The possibilities are several. But think about how it's such a small thing, but it's a key part of how people consume content today. Whenever we ask people how they actually find interesting new content from YouTube, most often than not, shareability and social sharing is actually the topmost reason. Though I can tell you on data that's not true. On data, we actually get a lot more views through search, which is as simple as that. But anecdotally, that's what people believe, that they actually discover a lot more content because a friend shared it on WhatsApp and Facebook, etc. Which is why it is key to anyone who's looking to create content on YouTube today, be it a creator who does this sustainably day after day, every single day, as a channel on YouTube, or be it somebody who's thinking of it from a brand building exercise. Shareability has to be a key factor of whatever you create. Let me show you something. Okay, does anyone remember seeing this particular video? I know we can't play videos right now, and I'm perhaps gonna send across a few as a follow-up email to this. But look at this. Can you see this slide?
Not yet. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, we'll get there then. Wonderful. All right. Now, this video became massively viral last year. This was called The Epic Split by Van Damme. And the brand who created this video was Volvo Trucks. Now, don't ask me why this video went viral, apart from the fact that it's shot extremely brilliantly. But when they created this content, what's really interesting about this is that it's not an ad. When I watched it, I was so amazed at the feat, at the stunt that was pulled off in this particular ad, that I actually stopped thinking about other factors like it's paid, it's just an advertisement, they're just trying to promote a brand, which is a lot of times things that people, especially from this very, very active, very, very socially connected generation of 18 to 35-year-olds, they often feel completely alienated when a brand is plastered all over a piece of content. So the subtle placement of the trucks, the fact that the only messaging that they have is towards the end that says, that such balance cannot be found anywhere else but on these particular, vehicles. If that is all that you're bringing in terms of a brand, and yet creating something that people feel the need to watch 200 million times globally, I think that's such an amazing feat. That's such an amazing thing to do, and that can only be done on the internet today. If you haven't seen this, I'd strongly urge you guys go and check it out. It's a great Friday video. Okay. All right. Now, there are three key factors of shareability. What makes something really shareable? So, I'm not sure if you can see the slide yet, but let me talk about them all the same. First and foremost, topical. How relevant to today is whatever you're talking about? Now, relevance could mean a lot of different things, or topicality could mean a lot of different things. I'll take an example. Just day before, one of our YouTube creators in India called the Viral Fever videos, and in case you haven't checked out their channel, please do go check them out. They're quite amazing. They've released a video around college admissions, and this is the college admission season. Come June end, come July beginning, colleges across the country open up to a month-long madness where fresh admissions happen, students run all over the place, cutoffs grow through the roof, all of that, right? That's the drama that's captured, on all news channels every single day. Now, they obviously understand that part as well. So what the Viral Fever videos did was they worked in conjunction with a brand called Shiksha.com and created a video where they actually captured what happens in our education system today. Stuff that's not working well, stuff where colleges pitch for so much and actually terribly underdeliver. It's a video that requires a fair bit of, if you enjoy sarcastic humor, you will really enjoy it. And that's how they build it out. The fact that they managed to create something extremely topical adds to that video's shareability, and it's already crossing 100,000 views. And that's happening on a video content just created in India, just for an Indian audience, with no promotion in terms of brand money behind it. So unlike the Van Damme split, which was actually, a combination of the brand money actually promoting it, as well as the fact that it went completely viral and people were sharing it, the Viral Fever example is actually not that, but it's a great integration for a brand like Shiksha. The second one is valuable. Now, and I'm sure all of you feel that if today's session wasn't useful to you, wouldn't you guys go back feeling, shit, I just wasted like an hour listening to her when I could have done something completely different, right? That's how I'd feel. So I'm hoping I'm going to make this session useful. But that aside, whatever you create, whatever it is on YouTube, online specifically, it needs to be of value. So value did not always mean usefulness because you taught me something, usefulness because I learned something new, etc., or you solved a problem. Value is also defined as in terms of, say, does it seem of importance to me? Does it seem of relevance to me? Is it something that, are you creating something that people will watch and then not feel that they just wasted 5 minutes? I think it's perhaps a little not as tangible as topicality is as a concept, but that's the other thing to think about. Are you really thinking about it from value of time? And the third thing is relatability. Now, when I create a video and I actually take away all the local context out of it, again, a case in point, and let me actually go back to something that we created as Google, and one of the ad campaigns that I'm really proud of. I'm sure some of you at least saw our search reunion campaign that we did late last year, early this year, where we said it was so. The idea was to show how search is sort of this intrinsic part of all our lives, and to capture it in something which had a strong emotional resonance with people who watch it. And we actually thought of multiple ideas to be closed on this reunion campaign, which went completely viral for us, and it was a super successful campaign because it spoke of things, of emotions that so many of us relate to. India, Pakistan, the fact that the partition is a trope, is a theme that we've used across content for the last 60 years. So it's not that we were being completely out of the box, but it was an interesting and innovative use of that same context to be able to make it relatable to the largest number of people in the country. Now that's what relatability is about, and these three factors really impact the way a video is consumed and how shareable it becomes. One of our creators actually said something which we thought made a lot of sense to include was, what are the 10 words that people will use when they share this video? Think about that when you actually create a video. So it's food for thought. Okay, let's go after shareability. Now, the next core fundamental to think about is conversational. Now, when I watch something on TV, I never feel like I'm part of it. It's something that's playing out in front of me, but I don't think that it's playing out either for me, or I'm participating in it, or people are talking to me. So there are all these different sort of ways in which you can actually shoot a video. But one of the key strengths of YouTube content creators and YouTube kind of content consumption is that it is conversational. And when I say that, I mean, are you really talking to me, or are you creating something where I just know that something's going to happen? An excellent example is a video called Like a Girl. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's seen that video. It's a very, very recent release, and I so wish I could have shown it to you right away. But another example of a video that I will share across. Like a Girl is a video that talks about how so many times we say things like, "Oh, don't be such a girl," or "Oh, don't talk like a girl, don't run like a girl, don't behave like a girl," which actually really does not mean anything, because if I am a girl, then who else am I supposed to be? But the way that video captures it, and the way that video is talking to you, when I watched that video, I had tears in my eyes, because I was like, wow, this is really something that I can understand and relate to. And I'm sure that video would have a gender agnostic reaction, because people would be able to relate to that kind of stereotyping one way or another. That video is actually being done by a brand that makes sanitary napkins for girls. Now, of course, there's a brand. Of course, there is subtle advertising in it, but the message is so strong that everything else is overshadowed. While I remember the brand, I don't remember the brand thinking of them as, they're just trying to push their product at me, but as a brand that actually has a value system, that believes in something, and that is what finds resonance with people like us. Think about, so if the last time any of you flew and you took an Indigo flight, do you remember seeing the girl power badges that all the air hostesses wear? Now, the first time I saw that, it struck such a chord with me, and I thought, that's nice. That's what a cool brand should do. That's what a good brand should be thinking about. Girl power, why not? And they've constantly worked on changing, their perception of building a very, very strong brand around Indigo. And I believe in I, and along with a lot of other people who are loyalists of the brand, would believe in that particular brand's messaging. Now, why haven't they yet done video? I have no answers to that. But if I was in their shoes, that's what I'd be thinking about. Moving on. Okay. I'm assuming none of the slides are visible at the moment, or
all are visible. Don't
what do
worry.
you see?
Everything is going fine. What I can see, interactivity right now.
Great. Awesome. Perfect. Great. So interactivity. Now, conversation and interactivity may seem like extremely similar sounding words, and you'd be like, what is she talking about? But they're actually different. When we start talking to creators, we realize how different they are. Okay. Conversational is a style of video creation where you actually, so what I'm doing right now, I'm hopefully being conversational, because I'm actually talking to you, and hopefully you're not feeling that we're that I'm, that this is somebody who's doing a lecture far off, standing on a stage or something like that, right? It's more conversational. It's me directly speaking to you. Now, when we think interactivity, though, interactivity is two-way, as the name suggests, right? So when we talk interactivity, we are saying, are you creating content that's encouraging people to take an action, for people to respond, for people to comment, for people to share? Are you creating enough reason for for your audience to actually take part with you in whatever you're trying to do here? Now, uh, let's talk about an example. So the question statement is there a way to involve your audience with whatever your idea is? Can you bring them into, can you bring them into your video, say, creative space? Uh, how many of us have either read Game of Thrones or watched some seasons of Game of Thrones? It's an exceptionally popular TV show, etc. Right now. Think about what are the different techniques that they actually used while while promoting themselves, and some things really stood out in their promotional campaigns, and when they started uploading snippets from their seasons on YouTube. At the end of every episode, they would actually go out and say, tell us more about, who's your favorite character, who do you want to, who do you, like, etc. They started asking fans to send across questions that they started including as part of their main programming. Now, when I see my name on that screen, if that was my name, which it isn't, I would be delighted. I would feel validated, authenticated, part of the creative process. I would suddenly take one step up as far as all my loyalties towards the brand, towards the content creator is concerned, because they've acknowledged me. Now, that's how human psyche works. We all want to be acknowledged, and whenever you think of from a brand's content creation point of view, it's important that you think of utilizing YouTube and internet's core strength, which is a two-way process, which is a two-way interaction, right? And this is one of the key areas to think about. How are you going to build in enough interactivity? Okay, let me quickly talk about this creator, Epic Rap Battles. Now, Epic Rap Battles is a very fun case in point, because they started making content several years ago as two independent channels, Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. And it was only after several years that they decided to do something together and collaborated, which is when this channel came into being, Epic Rap Battles of History. And how they create content is, so essentially it's a rap battle, like the name suggests, and they take in two characters and then they make them compete in rap. And as the audiences, as fans and subscribers of the channel, you actually vote, and you actually leave comments below saying, who do you think won? So this is what their end of the video looks like. Who won? Who's next? You decide. So not only are they asking their audience to actually choose who won the battle, they're also asking their audience to decide who comes in next. So they're making me, who is their fan, their audience, part of their creative process. You're actually taking care of my opinion. Now think about anything that you consume in terms of content, in terms of media. Does that ever happen, that a content creator actually hears what you have to say in terms of feedback, in terms of ideas, and incorporates into their programming? From whatever I know about it, it never happens on any form of traditional media. Radio is perhaps one space where there is still some exceptions to the rule, but the rest of it is pretty straightforward, top down. And that's where internet completely breaks the paradigm and does something so fascinating as, you can be part of my creative process. Not only do they include you in the creative process, they also acknowledge you. So something that's not captured here, but I urge you to actually go and watch just one video. If any of you are tech lovers, you would love the video where there's an epic rap battle between Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. So please do go check that one out. Yeah, and they end those videos by actually taking screenshots and putting them in the video of all the comments where that particular combination was asked to get into a battle. So it's extremely validating for people who get acknowledged there. Consistency. Now, as people who understand brand or who are concerned about an individual or an organizational brand, consistency is perhaps one thing that all of you completely are on board with, right? It's so key to any brand's message that you be consistent, you be the same, you continue to say the same kind of things, continue to believe in the same set of values, position yourself in the same way, etc. Consistency of personality, tone, voice, all of those things are key to the way brands think about themselves. And that's completely what we expect even creators to do. And most successful creators have a very, very consistent YouTube strategy. So the question to ask is, are there strong recurring elements to this idea, or for that matter, any idea? Let me take an example here. When I think about this channel, PBS Idea channel, one of the key things to think about consistency is that they actually have exactly the same sort of titling style or art or video making style. So in every video, you'd see a similar background, you'd see the same person, talking about similar themes. His ideologies, his personality are all very much part of the video making process. And that's something that at times brands find a little hard to sort of come to terms with when you start talking about personalities along with, along with content and along with branded content. But that's where a brand can work in tandem with the creator, because creators already know their game around consistency, and a brand could potentially piggyback on that. Okay. Uh, Another way to think about consistency is, how do you actually do so? Look at this slide, for example. All video titles look the same, right? There's a question to start off with, then there's the name of the channel, and then there's the name of the brand associated with the channel or the production house associated with the channel. If you look at their thumbnails, again, there is a fair bit of consistency because they use high quality visuals with text every single place. Now, that's what is key to the way any kind of a user experience on YouTube needs to be built. Even as a brand, when you start thinking about what you're going to do, there needs to be a certain level of consistent messaging that you think about. So schedule. Now, I understand a lot of times brands think of YouTube as a one-off scenario, or for that matter, online as a one-off scenario where they come in with flighted campaigns. But if you really want to build your brand onto any platform, there needs to be consistency of what you do. So you can't be a flash in the pan. You can't be a single video, a one video wonder. Those brands don't really see much traction on the platform. The brands that really, really fly are actually brands that consistently do all of these things. So keep up a schedule. Now, it may not be a brand's core objective to create YouTube content, but it could be one of the several things that brand chooses to do. And if I was to set out and make a plan with the brand on what their YouTube strategy needs to be, this would be something that I'd talk about, because this is something that is often not top of mind for them, and it's something that is key to YouTube success. Even if it means you put out one video a month, even if it means you collaborate with one different, just one creator a month, putting out one video through them, even if that's what your strategy is, it has to be ironed out. It has to be thought through. You cannot be thinking about today and not tomorrow when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to online. So critical that you at least work with a 6-month plan, if not a year-long plan, every time we think of content on YouTube. Personality. Now, personality, format, voice. Actually, let me just take a step back. Are perhaps 3 things that brands in any case consistently think about. Personality, relatable faces, same faces. Can you keep bringing back the same person? YouTube audiences are not celeb hungry. You realize that channels run by the likes of, say a Priyanka Chopra or any one of these, like a Rani Mukherjee, Priyanka Chopra. These are massive names in mainstream. But when you start thinking YouTube, you'd be surprised at how their channels don't really have massive audiences, because they were thinking of it only as a minor extension of what they do. Something like, oh, it's out there, I also have a YouTube page, because they never chose to engage. Their communities actually have very, very few people as compared to other groups that we work with. Moving on to targeting. Now, targeting again as a concept is something that obviously all brands understand, but it's important that you clearly define your audience. So if you're a tech brand and you're going after geeks and nerds, it doesn't hurt at all to actually call that out, to actually target those out. If you're a fashion brand or a beauty brand and you really are looking at people who are interested in those categories, fashionistas or divas is a great way to actually target them, to call them out. So everything from your channel name to the way you title your videos, to your description, to the metadata you put into your description and the tags, all of that needs to have that consistent targeting approach that you need to follow. I'm going to just skip this video, and like I said, there needs to be video level targeting, show level targeting, and channel level targeting. So you need to ensure that there is that consistent messaging at all these different levels. Sustainability. Now, when we think sustainability, it's different from consistency, one. Two, but sustainability is a very, very big challenge for a lot of times, for a lot of brands, because but more often than not, they're not looking at a long-term content play. And I understand, because that's not what their core concept is. But which is why it is essential that we think of different, innovative, interesting techniques to sustain the content creative process, or at least your presence on YouTube. Now, whether it means that you can actually go ahead and run an ad campaign on YouTube content, or whether it means that you go out and collaborate with existing creators and work with them to create content that fits into what your requirements are, what your needs are, and gels well with the creator's core audience. That's a great way. So you could potentially become co-creators of content or collaborators. And the third route, of course, is to become creators yourself. In that scenario, you could choose to sanction content and then create it and upload it on your own channel. Multiple different permutations and combinations are possible, but it's important that sustainability is thought through when we think about brand campaigns on YouTube. So I think it's simple enough. If the audience loves it, can you make more of it? I'm going to actually skip this. You should go check out the Vogue channel though. Also, you should go check out the Fine Brothers. Again, one of my absolute favorite channels on YouTube. These two brothers talk about everything from, capturing how elders react to, say, wrecking ball. And then they'll go ahead and capture how kids react to old computers and old telephones, like the rotary kinds, which I'm sure some of us at least saw. And it's amazing how they're using humor, some bit of just capturing reactions to actually teach a lot of informational stuff around different things. So for example, the video on rotary phones actually talks about different things like when were telephones invented, what is the latest technology in telephones, how text messaging is has changed the way people consume content today, etc. So they actually bring in a lot of very, very interesting trivia and informational pieces for you to take back at the end of the video. But this is what they consistently do, and again, a channel worth checking out. Discoverability. That's a key factor with YouTube, isn't it? So many times we keep thinking about, I'm going to make content, are people going to find it, right? Because there's so much content that gets uploaded to YouTube. And that's where some key things come into play. First and foremost, let's talk metadata. There are three spaces for metadata. First, title. Second, the description of the video. And third, the tags. Now, let me start with the title. The title needs to be the space where you capture just about the essence of the video, nothing more, nothing less. It needs to be consistent, it needs to be crisp, it needs to be precise. It shouldn't be so long that it gets truncated. It can include your core keyword. So for example, if you are talking about nursery rhymes, right, and you create a video that says, say, pick up a nursery rhyme, Baba Black Sheep. The title should say Baba Black Sheep Nursery Rhyme, because that's your core keyword and that makes sense to include. But what if your brand name is actually more important today or more popular today, and maybe that makes more sense to include? So brands like Sesame Street or Muppets or Hoopla Kids in India will actually look at keeping their names, their brands in the titles, because people will search with that. So that's how you can think about titling. Um, uh, it shouldn't be too long. It shouldn't be all about your core keywords, but it should have most of them. The second space is a description space. Now, description is where you actually have to have three elements. First element is specific to the video. So what is it that describes the video? A couple of lines on just that. The second part needs to be a couple of generic lines that actually define your brand, your content, your value proposition, things that are more generic to you as a brand, as a content creator. And third layer needs to be a call to action. Are you actually asking people to do something when they watch your video? I've seen it through consistent experience with creators and with users. Unless you ask, you shall not get. So it's imperative that you actually put out a message and say, please share, like, subscribe, comment. There are all these different messages. When a user subscribes to a YouTube channel, that actually means that the person's indicating loyalty to your kind of content, and interest is showing explicit interest that they want to keep coming back and consume your content, which also helps us as YouTube in targeting your content, better to those people who wish to subscribe to you. So for example, I'm subscribed to the Fine Brothers. Now every time they upload a video and I go to the YouTube homepage, their video is right there on the homepage for me to see, because the YouTube system knows that Aditi really likes the Fine Brothers. And that's how targeted your content delivery can get, your content distribution can get when people subscribe. So it's essential that you put out that message. Like I said, that's how you need to think about descriptions. Now, third element is tags. When you think tags, think of three separate kinds of tags. The first kind, the general tags, or so general tags, for example, going back to the nursery rhymes example, nursery rhymes, animated nursery rhymes, rhymes for kids, rhymes for children. These are all several examples of general keywords that you need to add to tags. The second kind of keywords that you need to add to tags are specific keywords. Now, specific keywords mean specific to that particular video, right? So if it's a video that's talking about, okay, the nursery rhymes example, the name of that nursery rhyme is the example of a specific tag, right? And then there should be a third kind of tags, which are brand tags or brand keywords. So if there are terms that are associated with their brands, make sure you include them there. So these are some tips around metadata that can actually ensure a much higher content discovery for your brand's content or for your own content when we start thinking search and suggested. Now, suggested are the videos that show up on the right-hand side when you're actually watching a video, and you'll be surprised that people typically don't perform multiple searches when they actually come onto YouTube. They perform one search to find that one video that they start their session with, and then constantly keep going back to videos on the right-hand side that are suggested to them because they're so relevant. So it's imperative that you do this metadata well, because this ensures high relevance scores between the search query as well as the suggested, and it ensures that your video actually shows up for both search and suggested, right? Another thing that is now if you fixed your metadata, the next thing to look at and the next thing to think about is something called the thumbnail. The thumbnail is what you actually see. Sorry about this. Um, Sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Not right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Can you
I can
see
see
it?
it.
Perfect. Awesome. So yes. So coming back to what I was saying, custom thumbnails. Thumbnails are what you see on the right on top in a particular in the video. It's your window to the video, and it's really, really important that you think of thumbnails as that place where you're actually going to go and make a decision whether you want to watch this video or not. So make sure you use high quality images in your thumbnails. Make sure you actually go ahead and put in annotations in videos. Now, these are some small ways to ensure that search and discovery works really, really well for you. I'm going to skip this part and quickly go towards the last point, which is around accessibility. Now, accessibility is not a core concern with brands mostly because brands actually don't have to think about people coming into their content and not being able to understand what's going on. This is a lot of times the issue with episodic stuff. So if you're doing a series, for example, which is a 5-episode series, and you find a new user who comes in on a third episode and hasn't seen the last two, how hard is it for that person to still be able to enjoy that episode? I think that's the sort of key message here. Maybe not so brand related always, but brands that switch to becoming creators, it's an extremely important message for them. And with that, we've come to the end of this presentation, and we're looking at the last element, which is collaboration. Now, I spoke a bit about how can you get, how can brands or individuals work with other creators on YouTube today, and we have hundreds and thousands of creators across the globe as well as in India, and so we constantly are talking to creators to be able to help them to work with brands and vice versa, and that's where the collaborative sentiment of YouTube really, really becomes important. And right, inspiration. So I guess that goes without saying. Every time you make something, think about what happens. What's the reaction that people have? Will I remember it as something that inspired me or motivated me or made me think about something? And I think that's a core message with any kind of content that you create anywhere in the world. And with that, we are now game for questions.
Great. So, very nicely packed session. Before I actually open it up for questions for everyone, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
One of the question I have is, let's assume I'm Mukesh Ambani, and I have a video and I want 10 million views. Is it possible?
Well, you could be anybody in this world, and it is possible. You don't have to be Mukesh Ambani for that, first and foremost. There are brands that approach it that way as well. I wouldn't say that there have never been scenarios like that. Yes, it is possible. It's about figuring out what is that core thing that we want, the brand wants to achieve. And there is, of course, a fair bit of advertising dollars that you can spend behind a goal like that, especially depending on what is your time in mind. So if I want to get to this number in the matter of 2 days, yes, it'll require like a fair bit of push. But for let me take a case in point. Did anyone see this video called the Seatbelt Crew? This was a video that was trending a few weeks ago in India. It's about how a filmmaker worked with eunuchs to create this content, and transgenders, that they created a content where, so transgenders are so often spotted on red lights in India, right? Traffic lights. They actually go across car to car asking for money or help or food or something, right? He brought like a whole bunch of them together
Yeah.
and shot a video on how it's important to wear seatbelts.
Yeah.
That video is has got like 7 million views today. It wasn't paid promotion or anything like that, and it got there in about 2 weeks. So it's completely possible. We can make a plan to get there too, which is where AdWords and our advertising platforms kick in a big way, and we can actually do like a whole separate session on that completely. But
Got that.
there are organic, YouTube specific ways to do this too.
Got it. Great. So, I mean, there are paid ways, but organically also it's possible, right? And
Absolutely.
another question is, you mentioned somewhere sometime back that it's the search discovery that dominates, not the social discovery. So, if someone wants to
Yes.
create a viral video, does that, or the video with the maximum number of views, does it make sense to first look at the search volume of the terms before even thinking about the social elements? So what do you suggest? Like, what's your suggestion?
Sure. Okay, so if you want to make a viral video, you first should think of the content, everything else aside. Uh, you could pretty much create anything and it could go viral if you completely believe in what you're putting out. So, first and foremost, virality and search query traffic in a particular keyword have nothing to do with each other. That's the first thing to think about. The second thing to think about is topicality, something again I brought up. Now, if you're thinking of a theme and if you can actually tie it in with something. So for example, if you're thinking about a theme of, say, um, how, maybe something around, say, sports, and you know that the FIFA World Cup is on in a few months, it's great if you could time it with that. So that topicality is so high that search query traffic is automatically taken into account. But it cannot work the other way around, that you first figure out what is being searched for, and then you sort of go back and create content, because that doesn't fly. That won't even tie in with what you're trying to do. Plus, think about all the videos that we've spoken of so far. The reason that they became viral and flew is because people could connect with what you were talking about. Because there were people who actually like saw it and could completely see that you believed in the content that you created. So I think authenticity and credibility of content is very important online and on YouTube.
Great. So, guys, there's a lot of questions. I'm not sure how much that I'll be able to justify or like take up all of them in the time that we have. But I'll try to take all of them in chronological order. Simultaneously, I'm just launching this question for a few seconds in front of your screen. So, like, in case you're interested in
Sure.
doing any course in digital marketing, as Digital Vidya, we do that. So, just mention yes over here. So there's a question from Sunita. She's saying, any insights into YouTube marketing for healthcare sector, specifically pharma?
Sure. So we have a lot of creators today who are creating content which is very relevant to healthcare. MDill Health, Home Veda. I can actually rattle off names of a ton of channel owners in India who are creating some really high quality health related, fitness related content. And there are synergies that a lot of pharma brands could find with them. As we already know, medicine, pharmaceutical, health, fitness is like a huge sector in terms of sheer, you know, ad dollars as well. So yes, there are those kind of channels that exist today. There are creative opportunities to work with those channels, and if there's somebody who has like a specific interest, and we can actually connect on it. So
Okay. Great. Jasmine, she wants to actually talk to you. So I'm just unmuting Jasmine. Jasmine, you
sure.
said please unmute me. Are you there? Jasmine, it seems you're not audible. Can you please type down your question? Okay, so the next question is from Vipin Sharma. He wants to know, this is Vipin from Point of Fake, and I just need to understand that if I promote any advertiser's video outside YouTube, then how does that views count under the analytics?
Okay, so all YouTube views on any videos that is either embedded, shared, or anywhere else, as long as it is being viewed in the YouTube player, as long as, so basically, I mean, it's the same video link that you're sharing, all videos get attributed back to the YouTube video that was uploaded. So all our analytics, all tracking of data, whether it is views, likes, shares, all of that happens at an individual video ID level. And so each individual video URL actually tracks everything in analytics.
Got it. By the way, Aditi, you mentioned about, and there are a lot of questions in this regard about if you want to get upself listed up on top on search results on YouTube, all the stuff that you need to do, starting with keywords and all that related
Right.
meta tag.
Right.
What is the role of social interaction? Like, what is the value? Like, how much and how much of importance does that hold in the overall ranking on YouTube?
Right. So social is a key element of one of the key factors of how ranking works. But just to put this in perspective, the
Hmm.
topmost factor when we rank a video on YouTube search is actually a factor called watch time, followed very, very closely by views. Now, watch time essentially is a measure of, you know, the quality of the view. So, for example, I could click on a video and I could get out of it in 10 seconds. It counts for a view, but it counts for just 10 seconds of watch time, which tells me that the video wasn't relevant to me. So while the views may be really, really high, the watch time for that video would be low, which is why we now put watch time on top, followed very closely with views. And then factors like likes, dislikes, shares, favoriting, playlisting, all of these, commenting, all of these are factors of interaction. And when you actually look at YouTube analytics, you can see that there are your engagement levels for every video is actually measured, and that way you can actually figure out which videos are doing better for you, etc., on social interaction. And it's sort of intrinsic to the platform to encourage that kind of interaction with your audience that really, really improves your search and suggested rankings.
Great. Okay, so there's another interesting question from Nitin. He's saying that I have my greeting e-card channel with over 1.3 million views till now, but very
Right.
low advertising revenue. Is there something I can do about it?
There are multiple things that could be going wrong. So first and foremost, thank you for bringing that up, Nitin, because it's important that I could actually say that the reason all these creators exist on YouTube is because there's a very, very strong partnership program that we offer, which is how they actually make revenues, right? So it's a revenue share agreement, and these creators can actually choose to monetize all their content. Now, there are different things possible. One, that it's possible that maybe in some videos you're using, say, audio which is not owned by you. So, for example, there are lots of creators who create something and then say use a song from T series in it, which is of course not like for their content, right? So it's possible that something like that is happening, and hence not all your videos are eligible for monetization. It's also possible that you have not chosen to monetize all your videos yet. I see that with seasoned creators actually missed out on a few videos, so I'd request you actually go back and check on that. It's also possible that not all ad formats are chosen. So there are multiple ad formats on YouTube. There is video, there is text, there are multiple kinds of video, and maybe we can even take that up separately and discuss a little more. But it's possible that one of those issues are standing in your way. So ad ad formats, video claiming, copyright concerns, these are some of the primary reasons why your ad revenues could be really, really low. And I would strongly recommend like simple Google searches can give you some answers.
Great. Great. I think that was definitely insightful. So, another question from Manas Makani. He wants to know, does it make sense to go with true view ads on YouTube? In fact, if you could just briefly explain on the various ways businesses can really leverage the advertising platform of YouTube, that would be great.
Sure. So the way our advertising works is we're actually tied in completely with AdWords. So if you're doing Google advertising through AdWords, that's exactly how YouTube advertising works as well. So basically, that's where YouTube gets all its ads. It's through the AdWords advertising platform. That's the first thing to clarify. Second, TrueView TrueView is today our most successful ad format. And the reason for that is it's a win-win for everyone. TrueViews, for those of you who are not aware of it, is the skippable video ad format. So it's the ad format that comes in the at the beginning of a video, where after the first 5 seconds, you as a user have the option to skip the ad and go straight to the video. Now, why it's the preferred, most favorite ad format for most advertisers globally and in India, and users and partners across, is because of this. It's the only ad format on any platform globally, traditional media or otherwise, that actually puts the power to choose and decide on in the user's hand. So users feel very, very empowered, and actually end up figuring out whether they want to watch an ad or not. And that's one. The second thing is, for an advertiser, it's great because in the first 5 seconds, they get free advertising. So it's free branding for them in the first 5 seconds, till that, if that video is skipped at the fifth second, they don't have to pay anything. And if I had the option as a user, if I had the option to skip and I still watched a video, then that makes me an even more qualified lead than somebody who did not have an option but had to sit through the video, right? So from an advertising or a brand perspective, it's a great win-win. Now, where creators come in, or when we start thinking revenue share, where that becomes important is that advertisers are no longer creating plain vanilla kind of TrueView campaigns. You see so many interesting TrueView campaigns, like the Like a Girl campaign that I was talking about is actually a TrueView campaign. Dove runs some exceptional TrueView campaigns, and these are such fun, engaging videos that I actually end up watching them without realizing that that this was just the ad playing before a video. I actually watch that for real content enjoyment, and then I go ahead and watch the video. And that's where online or YouTube advertising is changing so dramatically, because brands today are creating fun content, like really interesting ads that are also fun to watch. So that challenge is no longer there, and we see very, very high click-through rates on TrueView ads. So yeah, you will be good if you actually enable those.
I think that was detailed enough. Another question by Pradeep Kumar. He wants to know, by the way, he wants to know what are the separate file format for making good quality with small sizes. And there are a lot of people who wants to know other stuff, like what is the kind of length of video you recommend. So if there are some sort of technical details which you would like to share, that will be great for everybody.
Great. .mov, .flv, typically these file formats are great. YouTube can stream HD, so if you can create things at 1080p, please go ahead and do that, because the advantage of doing that is that when you upload the highest quality video on YouTube, YouTube also has something called a bandwidth recognizer. So if I'm watching that video which you uploaded at HD quality on a really, really low bandwidth connection, YouTube will bring down the quality of the video to be able to still serve it to me as a user. So it's great. It's always advisable to go with the highest possible quality, 1080p being, of course, the highest. In terms of length of content, that's changing dramatically. A few years ago, I could have answered that question very easily and said 3 to 4 minutes is perfect. For the last year and a half, too, I've actually seen, and globally and in India, we've seen a dramatic increase in long form content. Some of the channels like TVF that I spoke about, the viral few videos, AIB, again, a channel that's so amazing and you should so check out, and so many other educational, informational channels are creating content that is 10 minutes, 16 minutes, 20 minutes in length, and people are watching it. So it's no longer about what's the ideal length. It really is about if it takes you 5 minutes to make a video that tells me how to make great tea, please spend 5 minutes of it. But if it takes you 12 minutes to tell me how to make the best masala dosa, please take those 12 minutes. You know what I mean? So just really take that call from your content and not the other way around.
Great. So, guys, I've tried to take all the possible different varieties of questions that were there. There are still a lot of questions that are unanswered. In case you have some question that is really, really urgent and you really want an answer to it, just press the hand raise button and I'll unmute you. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, Shashank, I'll just unmute you. Yeah, Shashank, what's your question? Shashank, what's your question? Looks like your mic is not working. Okay, let me see if there is anyone else. Okay, Chandresh. Chandresh, I've unmuted you. Chandresh? Looks like technology is really not supporting us. So, Brijesh, you have raised your hand. I've unmuted you. Brijesh, do you have any question? Okay, Utkarsh, I've unmuted you. You have any question? Okay, something with the voice, I think. So all of them are also typed down their questions, so I'll try to take them one by one. Shashank has a question about, um, he wants to know particularly for educational institution how to get more views. If you have any particular case study or any particular suggestion for educational institution.
Uh, okay, so are we still talking so is it the educational institution's channel, or are we talking about their advertising? So so let me actually just take this as a channel question, and if it's the other way around, we'll flip. So we have a lot of very, very successful educational channels from institutes, individuals, teachers, educators of the whole nine yards. In fact, one of the channels to think about is the IIT channel. So NPTEL has their own channel on YouTube, and they have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of views on a weekly basis. And that content is actually watched from not just here, but outside. One of the core components to think about when you think education is, one, who's your target audience? Where is it based? What language would you need to actually be able to communicate with them? And fourth, what is going to be your teaching technique? So if these four things are sort of taken care of, I think any educational content can have a great life cycle on YouTube. We have everything from kids content that Hoopla Kids does, to the kind of content which is K-12 learning that Crash Course does, to the kind of content which is very, very higher education that IIT or MIT or Stanford or any of these top colleges in the world do. So we have the entire range. And in fact, if there are more people interested in education, I could even share like a list of some of my favorite channels, and they can go check it out.
Great. I think that is a good example. Um, the next question is from
Everything is coming from our website with the RSS feeds, and we providing the RSS to them, so it's like they are fetching it from our website itself.
Brijesh. Your voice is a little low. Can you please be a little louder?
Skipping the top cat, it would be great.
Brijesh, your voice is little. Um, Brijesh, your voice is low. I would request. Can you please type it down?
If you can go to website chitralekha.com, there's something called as Gujarati News. Gujarat News. Besides that, there is a RSS icon. You can click that, so you'll get a rough idea of what is coming in the feeds.
Brijesh, I'm not able to understand your question. Aditi, are you able to understand Brijesh's question?
No,
Okay.
I'm not even sure if he's asking us the question or
Yeah,
he's
or
gonna
it's a comment. Yeah. Brijesh, I would request you to please type it down. That'll be better. We have already exceeded with 14 minutes. I'll take up just a couple of questions more. There's another interesting question asked by Chandresh. He wants to know how is YouTube fighting the fake views provider market and making it a more level playing field. I mean, if you really search for it, and there was a time I actually created a fake account and sort of just for the heck of it bought a fake views also. So for the limited time that happens, and then the whole thing was blocked. But yeah, I mean, overall, how is YouTube dealing with all these players would be interesting to know.
So I think you answered the question for me because
Yeah.
that's exactly what we do.
Right.
We are very, very vigilant on this. It's a
Right.
huge, huge risk to the business and like to the creator ecosystem as well. So it's unfair to the advertiser to pay for any
Absolutely.
fake views and vice versa. So I think it's extremely important, top of our list of things to do. One is we actually do that, what we ended up, what you experienced. But the other thing is we also do a lot of proactive measures around it. So there are a lot of fake views, distribution sites, etc., that came up over the last 4 to 5 years, but they've actually they've actually been curtailed in a big way because our spam abuse team went very, very vigilant on how we were actually dealing with them. So I mean, there are times when we even just suspend accounts permanently in cases we track any kind of abuse or any kind of spam. So we've become extra vigilant on this, and that's the long and short of
All
it.
right. Great. So another interesting question from Utkarsh. He's saying that if I've shared a videos on YouTube channel and if I share the same videos on Vimeo, uh, is there a way you get penalized for that, or is it okay if I'm the content owner?
Completely okay. Absolutely. Your content, I mean, there's no exclusivity or anything like that with YouTube, so please feel free to.
Okay. Okay. So Birjesh wants to ask now. He has posted the question: are there any paid channels on
Paid
YouTube?
channels. Yes. So last year in November is when we actually launched our pilot with paid channels. YouTube fundamentally is a free platform for content of all kinds, and it's entirely ad supported. But uh, there were channels and use cases where we thought paid may actually have a role to play. So if you actually go to youtube.com/paid channels or just search for paid channels on YouTube on Google, you'll actually get a list of them. There are some maybe 70 or 60 odd channels on that list at the moment, largely educational. So channels like TED Talks. So while they upload a lot of their conversations and a lot of their full length talks on their unpaid channel, which is the free channel, they have some one-on-one hangouts and things like that they organize on their paid channel. So whenever a content creator comes and says, I'm looking at more high quality engagement, which is only with a specific group of people who are really, really within my core community or our top fans, that's when a lot of channels spring up into a separate, a paid channel, which is a subscriber model and not ad supported. But otherwise, it's still a pilot. We're still figuring out whether it's a great model, but creators have the option to do that with a second channel on YouTube.
And how much does it cost? Is there some
It
costing?
doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
So when you said paid channels, I assumed the question was, as a user, I would pay to subscribe to that channel. So that's the answer that I was giving.
Okay.
If you meant, can I buy a channel on YouTube? There's no payment to a channel. What we do with brands though is, and you may go check out Lakme or some of these brands. Brands can get something called a branded channel, where our core AdWords team, the sales team, will actually work with you to build that out, and it has additional functionalities like a gadget, etc. That again, like massive long conversation, but those channels then brands have to pay an additional cost to build the gadget for. But that's about it.
Got it. I think Videsh, now you've got an answer to both the questions. Okay, guys, I think we've already exceeded with 19 minutes, so there's still a lot of question unanswered. So, Aditi, can I mail all these questions to you? Is it possible for you to sort of reply back sometime at your leisure time, and then I'll possibly send an email to everyone?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, I
So
can
that's
also do
exactly.
that. I can take in questions on Twitter. If it's easier for people to like just tweet about it, then
Yeah.
I think that would also work.
Great. So I think, guys, if you want immediate response, the best is you can tweet right now your question and Aditi will reply back immediately. Or else I'll try to collate all the questions which are not answered and send it to Aditi, and then we'll possibly send an email to all of you. In any case, we've recorded this session, so we'll be sending you the recording of the session very soon for your reference. So that's it from my side, and really want to thank Aditi for taking time out and answering all the questions very patiently. Thanks a lot, Aditi, for your time, and thank you everyone for your participation.
Thanks, everyone. I had a really good time, and thank you, Digital Vidya. Thank you. I had fun.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. The session is closed.